The corridors of the alien space station were silent. The metal walls hummed faintly with the power of engines hidden deep inside the structure. A tall alien guard walked slowly through the dim light, his long shadow stretching behind him. His eyes scanned every corner as he made his rounds. At first, everything seemed normal. The station always carried the same cold air, the same smell of metal and oil. But tonight, something felt different. A strange sound echoed in the distance. It was soft, almost like a whisper. The guard stopped. His sharp ears twitched. "What was that?" he muttered to himself. He turned his head, listening carefully. The sound came again, this time clearer. It was not the hum of machinery. It was not the sound of weapons or alarms. It was something else. It sounded like crying. The guard's body stiffened. Crying? In a military station? Impossible. He began to follow the sound, each step slower and heavier than before. The dim corridor twisted into an old, unused section of the station, where dust clung to the floor and lights flickered weakly. The sound grew louder, small voices, weak, frightened. The guard's heart began to pound. He pulled out his weapon and approached a locked door. The sound was clearly coming from behind it. He pressed his hand to the panel, but the door refused to open. Security codes blocked him. He slammed his fist against the steel. "Open!" he growled, but the door did not move. He looked around, searching for another way. A faint vent cover hung loose nearby. Without thinking, he tore it open and crawled inside. The narrow tunnel was dark, filled with dust and rust. He pushed forward, his weapon gripped tightly in his hand. The cries grew clearer with every move. At the end of the vent, he reached a broken grate. He pressed his face close and looked down. His eyes widened in shock. Below him was a hidden chamber filled with cages. Inside the cages were small figures, thin, trembling, with pale faces. They were not alien children. They were human children. The guard's breath caught in his throat. "No, this cannot be," he whispered. The children huddled together, their small hands clutching the bars. Their clothes were torn, their faces dirty. One boy, no older than 10, whispered to the others, "Stay quiet. They will hear us." But another, child, could not stop sobbing, the sound echoing through the cold chamber. The guard's hands shook. He had fought against humans before. He had seen them as warriors, soldiers, enemies on the battlefield. But never like this, never as helpless children locked in cages. He crawled back from the vent and slammed his back against the wall, trying to steady his breathing. Rage boiled inside him. Who had done this? Which monster had dared to capture innocent human children and hide them here? His communicator buzzed. A fellow soldier's voice crackled through. "Patrol report. Sector clear?" The guard's voice was low, trembling with fury. "No! Sector not clear. I found something. Something terrible." "What is it?" the voice demanded. The guard hesitated, then spoke. "Children. Human children. They are locked in cages." There was silence on the other end, a long silence. Then a nervous laugh. "That's not possible. Maybe you are mistaken." "Mistaken?" the guard roared, his voice echoing through the vent. "Do you think I cannot see with my own eyes? They are there, helpless, starving, suffering." The communicator went dead. The other soldier had cut the line. The guard realized something dangerous. Someone wanted this secret to stay hidden, someone powerful. He returned to the grate and looked down again. The children had noticed him now. Their wide eyes stared at the alien in the vent. Fear and hope mixed in their faces. One girl, her voice weak but brave, whispered, "Please, help us." The words struck him like a blade. His heart pounded harder. He was a soldier sworn to obey orders, sworn to protect his people. But how could he ignore this? Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the chamber below. A group of aliens entered, their armor shining in the dim light. They carried shock batons, and their expressions were cruel. One of the guards sneered, "Quiet, pests, or you will learn pain again." The children fell silent, trembling. The alien in the vent clenched his fists until his claws cut into his own skin. Every part of him wanted to drop down, to fight, to rip those traitors apart. But he knew he was alone. If he attacked now, both he and the children would die. He pulled back, his mind racing. He needed proof. He needed to show the leader what had been hidden here. But as he moved, one of the children suddenly shouted, "He's here, up there!" The cruel guards looked up, their eyes locked on the vent. The soldier cursed under his breath and pulled back quickly. The sound of boots followed, echoing through the chamber as they moved to chase him. He ran through the vent, his heart hammering. The cries of the children echoed in his ears, their faces burned in his mind. When he finally crawled out of the vent and back into the corridor, he slammed the cover shut and leaned against the wall, gasping for air. The silence of the station returned. But it was no longer the same. He had seen the truth, he had seen the cruelty, and now he could never turn away. The guard whispered to himself, his voice shaking with rage. "They caged human children. For this, someone will pay." The alien soldier did not sleep that night. The images of the children haunted him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw their pale faces, their trembling hands gripping the metal bars. Their whisper echoed in his head. "Please, help us." He could not keep this secret. It burned inside him like fire. By morning, he made his decision. He would go to the leader of the station. Only the leader had the power to stop this crime. The command hall was wide and bright, filled with glowing panels and guards standing in silence. At the center sat the leader, tall and fierce, his armor shining dark blue. His presence filled the room with authority. The soldier stepped forward, his voice heavy with anger. "Commander, I found something hidden in the lower chambers." The leader's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" The soldier's voice shook, but he forced the words out. "Human children locked in cages." The hall fell silent. Every guard froze. Some looked shocked, others looked away, as if they already knew. The leader rose slowly from his seat, his expression unreadable. "Say that again." "They are there," the soldier said firmly. "Dozens of them, starving, crying. This is no rumor. I saw it with my own eyes." The leader's fists clenched. His voice thundered through the hall. "Who dared to cage human children?" The echo shook the walls. Guards flinched, some stepping back. The commander's fury was like a storm. One officer tried to calm him. "Sir, please, it must be some mistake. Perhaps they were prisoners of war." "Prisoners of war!" the leader roared. His eyes blazed. "Children do not fight battles. Children are not soldiers. They are the innocent of every world." The officer shrank back, trembling under his gaze. The leader turned to the soldier. "Show me, now!" They moved quickly, storming through the corridors. The soldier led the way to the hidden vent. The guards behind them whispered nervously. None dared to speak loudly in the presence of their furious commander. At the chamber, the leader forced the locked door open with his bare strength. Metal screeched as the barrier fell. The sight inside froze even him for a moment. Rows of cages, small faces staring in fear, thin hands clutching iron bars, human children. The leader's eyes widened, then narrowed into pure rage. His voice was a growl deep and dangerous. "Monsters!" The children cowered at first, but one brave boy stepped forward whispering, "Are you here to hurt us too?" The leader knelt, his massive form lowering to the boy's level. His voice softened, though his anger shook beneath it. "No, little one, I am here to destroy those who did this to you." The boy's lips trembled, but a spark of hope flickered in his eyes. Behind them whispers grew. Some guards looked ashamed. Others exchanged nervous glances. The leader caught it. His sharp gaze turned to his soldiers. "Who knew of this?" he demanded. Silence. He roared again, his voice thundering like a quake. "Who knew?" One guard broke. He fell to his knees. "Commander, I was ordered not to speak. They told us this was secret business, that if we talked, we would be executed." The leader's voice cut like a blade. "Who gave that order?" The guard shook, too afraid to answer. His silence was enough. The leader understood. This was no accident. This was betrayal from within. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed behind them. A group of armored soldiers appeared at the entrance. Their weapons were ready, their eyes cold. The leader glared at them. "So, you dare show your faces before me?" One of the armored men stepped forward. His voice was calm, but arrogant. "Commander, you should leave. These children are valuable. They are not your concern." The leader's hands tightened into fists. "Not my concern. You shame the honor of our people. You spit on every code we swore to follow." The traitor smiled faintly. "The galaxy is changing. Humans must be broken, their spirit crushed. These children are leverage, a tool. You cannot stop what has already begun." The leader's roar shook the chamber. "You caged children, and you dare call it strategy? You will answer for this with your lives." The air grew tense. The children huddled back as the two sides stared each other down. The soldier who had discovered the cages stepped closer to the leader, whispering urgently, "Commander, there are too many. If we fight now, the children will be caught in the crossfire." The leader's eyes blazed with fury, but he nodded. He would not risk the children's safety. He pointed at the traitors. "This is not over. Every one of you will face my justice. I will burn your names from history." The traitors sneered but did not attack. They only watched as the leader and his loyal men pulled back, sealing the chamber once again. When they were clear, the commander slammed his fist against the wall. His voice shook with rage and promise. "They think they can hide this crime. They think they can silence me. No, I will make this station tremble. I will make the galaxy know the truth." The soldier looked at him with both fear and respect. "What will you do?" The leader's eyes turned cold, but his voice was iron. "I will tear the traitors from their holes. I will free the children. And if the galaxy dares to question me, let them see what wrath truly means." In the shadows of the station, the hidden war had begun. The leader's fury still burned long after leaving the chamber of cages. His footsteps thundered through the corridor, every guard moving aside as he passed. The soldier who had discovered. The children followed close behind, his eyes alert, his heart heavy. "Commander," the soldier whispered, "what if the traitors warn their allies? They may move the children. They may hide them before we can return." The leader stopped, his armor glinting under the dim lights. His voice was low, but sharp as a blade. "Then we will move faster. They think shadows can hide them. I will. Drag them into the light." The soldier nodded, though fear lingered in his chest. The enemy was not outside the walls anymore. The enemy was here, among their own. Inside the command hall, the leader summoned his closest officers. They gathered around the table, their faces tense. The air was thick with unease. "I have seen betrayal with my own eyes," the leader declared. "Children locked in cages, our honor broken. Someone within this station is feeding corruption." Gasps rose, but the leader's glare silenced them. One officer dared to speak. "Commander, if this is true, then someone in high command must be involved. No ordinary guard could hide such a crime." "Exactly," the leader growled. "We will find them, and when we do, they will beg for mercy they shall never receive." The soldier noticed something strange. Not all faces around the table showed shock. One officer kept his eyes lowered, his jaw tight. Another shifted uneasily, avoiding the commander's gaze. The soldier leaned closer to his leader and whispered, "Some of them already know. Look at their eyes." The leader studied them, his rage controlled but burning. Suddenly the door to the hall slid open. A messenger ran in, breathless and pale. "Commander, alarms in the lower sector, fire in the storage bay." The leader's eyes narrowed. "A distraction," the soldier frowned. "To move the children, or to silence them forever." the commander said coldly. Without another word, he charged from the room. Loyal guards followed, weapons ready. The halls shook with the sound of alarms, red lights flashing across the metal walls. When they reached the lower sector, the smell of smoke filled the air. Flames licked the storage bay, crates burning in heaps. But the commander's sharp eyes saw beyond the fire. At the far end, armored soldiers dragged cages filled with frightened human children. There, the commander roared. The traitors froze for a second, then pushed harder, trying to load the cages onto a hidden transport. The commander's voice thundered, "Drop them! Now!" The traitors drew their weapons. Blaster fire lit the smoke-filled. "Obey!" Chaos exploded. The soldier ducked behind a crate, firing back. Sparks flew as shots ripped through metal. Children screamed, their small voices piercing the roar of battle. The commander strode forward, unstoppable. Blasts struck his armor, but he did not slow. He swung his blade, cutting through the traitors with brutal force. His roar filled the bay. "You dare betray me in my own station! You dare harm the innocent!" A traitor officer sneered, blocking his strike. "You are blind, Commander. Our leaders already gave the order. The humans must be broken. These children are weapons, nothing more." The commander's eyes blazed. "Then our leaders are no better than beasts." With a crushing strike, he shattered the traitor's defense and sent him sprawling. Meanwhile, the soldier rushed toward the cages. He knelt beside them, trying to break the locks. "Hold on, children. You will be safe soon." A small girl clutched his hand through the bars. "Don't let them take us, please." He looked into her frightened eyes and swore, "I will not." Suddenly, more traitors stormed in from the side entrance. The soldier spun, firing wildly. The commander cut them down with furious strikes, but more kept coming. The soldier shouted, "They'll overwhelm us!" The commander's roar echoed. "Then we fight until every traitor lies dead." But then, an unexpected twist. A blast door sealed shut behind them with a loud clang. Smoke hissed from vents above. Poison gas began to spread. The soldier coughed, covering his mouth. "Gas! They're trying to kill us all!" The children screamed, their small fists banging against the cages. The commander's fury reached its peak. He grabbed a burning crate and hurled it into the gas vent, blocking the flow. Sparks erupted, but the poison slowed. He turned to his soldier. "Break those locks, now!" The soldier slammed his blaster into the locks, sparks flying until the bars snapped. One by one the cages opened. Children stumbled out, coughing but alive. "Stay behind me," the commander roared. The loyal guards formed a wall, shielding the children as they moved toward the exit. Blaster fire rained down, but the commander stood like a giant, cutting through anyone who came close. Finally, with a last strike, the remaining traitors fell. Smoke filled the bay, but the children were safe in the commander's shadow. Breathing hard, the soldier looked at him. "Commander, this was planned. This was not just a small group of traitors. Someone in high command ordered this." The commander nodded grimly, his eyes burned with fury. "Yes, and now I know the truth. Shadows have spread across our empire. The betrayal runs deeper than I imagined." He looked down at the frightened children, his voice steady and fierce. "They wanted to use you. They wanted to break you. But you will not be broken. I swear, no cage will ever hold you again." The children clung to each other, their fear slowly turning into fragile hope. The commander turned back to his soldier. "This is war now. Not against humans, not against outsiders, against the poison inside our own ranks. We will expose them. And when we do, the galaxy will tremble." The soldier's voice was firm. "I will follow you, Commander, until the end." The leader nodded. The fire still raged behind them, smoke rising into the air. But within that smoke, the first sparks of rebellion had been lit. The fires in the storage bay had been put out, but the station still carried the smell of smoke and betrayal. The commander stood in the shadows of the command hall, his massive frame tense, his eyes burning with silent rage. Around him, the rescued children, huddled close to the loyal guards, weak but alive. The soldier knelt beside the children, offering water and food. "Eat slowly," he said gently. "You are safe now." But the commander knew safety was fragile. Shadows still moved through the station. Somewhere, traitors plotted their next move. Somewhere, powerful hands pulled the strings. One child, a boy no older than 10, raised his head. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with something stronger than fear. He looked straight at the commander. "Why did they take us?" he asked. His voice was small but steady. The hall went silent. Even the guards looked uneasy. The commander knelt down, lowering himself to the boy's level. His deep voice rumbled. "Because they are cowards. They thought if they could cage children, they could break the human spirit. They were wrong." The boy did not look away. He pressed his lips together, then whispered, "Humans don't break. Even in cages we fight." The words struck the commander like a blade. His chest tightened. This child, weak and starving, had more courage than many soldiers he had known. He placed a hand gently on the boy's shoulder. "You speak with the strength of warriors," the commander said. "Remember those words. Never let anyone silence them." The boy nodded, his small fist clenched in quiet defiance. The soldier leaned close to the commander. "Do you see it? They are more than victims. Even in chains, they refuse to bow. This spirit, it is dangerous." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Dangerous to their enemies, inspiring to us." Before more could be said, a sudden noise echoed in the corridor. Heavy boots approached. Loyal guards raised their weapons, forming a wall around the children. The door opened. A high-ranking officer entered, his armor polished, his face calm. Too calm. "Commander," he said smoothly, "you have caused much noise in my station. You storm into secret chambers, you free captives, and now you spread rumors of betrayal. You should explain yourself." The commander stepped forward, his towering form casting a shadow across the hall. His voice thundered. "Explain? You dare ask me to explain when human children lie caged in your walls? Tell me, officer, how deep does your treachery run?" The officer's expression did not change. "Careful with your words. Those children are tools for negotiation, nothing more. You cannot understand the strategy of war." The commander's roar shook the hall. "Children are not tools. They are not pawns for your games. You bring shame to every code we swore to uphold." The officer smirked faintly. "Shame? No, I bring victory. When humans fear us, when they know even their young are not safe, then we control them. That is how empires are built." The boy suddenly stepped forward from behind the guards. His voice, though small, cut through the tension. "You will never control us. You think cages make us weak. But cages only make us stronger. You cannot break humans." The hall went still. Every soldier stared. The words of a child carried more fire than any weapon. The officer's eyes narrowed. "Insolent little pest." He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the commander's blade was at his throat. The steel gleamed in the light pressed against the traitor's skin. "Touch that child," the commander growled, "and I will tear you apart." The officer froze. His confidence cracked for the first time. The guards behind him hesitated, unsure whether to fight or flee. The commander shoved him back. "You are finished. Every shadow will be dragged into the light. I will see to it myself." The officer spat blood, his eyes filled with hate. "You cannot stop us all. The order runs deeper than you know. Cut off one head, and 10 more will rise." The commander's eyes blazed. "Then I will cut them all." The traitor was dragged away by loyal guards. The hall filled with murmurs. Soldiers whispered of honor, of shame, of war within their own ranks. The soldier turned to the commander, his voice urgent. "This will spread. News of betrayal, of children in cages. It will ignite the galaxy. What will we do?" The commander looked at the children, their small faces lit with fragile courage. His voice rumbled with iron conviction. We protect them, we guard them with our lives, and then we hunt the traitors, every last one. The boy stepped closer, his eyes shining with determination far beyond his years. We will fight too. One day we will stand beside you. You saved us, but we will save others. The commander's chest tightened again. He saw the truth in the child's words. This was not weakness. This was the beginning of something far greater. He rose to his full height, his voice filling the hall. Let the galaxy hear me. They tried to break the humans, but instead they awakened something stronger, a spirit that will never be caged, a fire that will burn across the stars. The children looked at him with hope. The soldiers around him stood straighter, their shame turning into resolve. In that moment, the commander knew. The fight ahead would be brutal, filled with shadows and blood. But he also knew something else. Humanity's spirit was unbreakable, and now it had allies. The station no longer felt like home. It felt like a battlefield waiting to explode. Every corridor carried whispers of betrayal. Every shadow hid a possible enemy. The commander walked with heavy steps, his loyal soldiers following close behind. The rescued children stayed under guard in a safe chamber, but even there, danger lurked. The soldier approached him, his face tense. Commander, spies report movement near the docking bays. The traitors are gathering forces. They plan to strike soon. The commander's eyes darkened. Good, let them come. Justice will meet them at the gates. But deep inside, he knew this was no simple skirmish. The traitors were desperate now. They would throw everything into one fight, hoping to silence him and erase the truth before it spread. The alarms blared across the station. Red lights flashed. A mechanical voice echoed through the halls. Alert! Unauthorized forces detected in Docking Bay 6. The commander drew his blade. Its edge gleamed under the red glow. His voice thundered. To the bay! We end this tonight! They charged through the corridors. The soldier ran beside him, heart pounding. The sound of blaster fire echoed ahead. The clash had already begun. When they reached Docking Bay 6, chaos erupted before their eyes. Dozens of traitor soldiers in black armor stood in formation, blocking the exits. Behind them, massive transports waited, ready to carry the children away or to bring reinforcements in. The commander raised his blade high, his voice roared like thunder. Traitors of the Empire, your time is over! The traitor captain stepped forward, his face twisted with arrogance. No, Commander. Your time is over. You have chosen humans over your own people. You are unfit to lead. Unfit? The commander growled. You call yourself soldiers while you cage children? You are not fit to breathe the same air as warriors. The captain sneered and raised his weapon. Kill them all. Blaster fire rained down. The bay shook with explosions. Sparks lit the air, smoke rising thick and heavy. Loyal guards clashed with traitors in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The soldier ducked behind cover, firing back. There are too many! He shouted. The commander charged straight into the storm, his blade cutting through traitors like lightning. He roared with every strike, his fury unstoppable. Soldiers fell before him, but more kept coming. In the middle of the chaos, the docking doors began to open. A transport ship powered up, its engines glowing. If it launched, the children would be gone forever. The commander saw it and bellowed, "Stop that ship!" The soldier sprinted across the battlefield, blaster shots flying past his head. He dove behind crates, rolled across the floor, and finally reached the ship's landing. Gear. He fired into the engines, sparks bursting in a fiery blast. The transport shook violently and crashed back onto the bay floor. The traitors screamed in rage. The captain's voice echoed, "Protect the ship! Kill the intruders!" The commander cut his way forward, his voice carrying over the battle. "Protect!" The children! Not one of them leaves this station! Suddenly, a traitor officer leapt onto the ship's ramp, dragging a young human girl by the arm. Her screams pierced the noise of war. The officer pressed a blade to her throat. "Stand down!" he shouted, "or she dies!" The fighting froze. Loyal soldiers hesitated, their weapons shaking. The commander's eyes burned with fury. The soldier whispered urgently, "Commander, what do we do?" The commander took a slow step forward, his blade still in hand. His voice was calm but deadly. "Release her, now!" The officer laughed. "You think you can command me? One move and the child's blood will stain this floor." The little girl looked at the commander, tears streaming down her face. But then she whispered, almost too softly to hear, "Don't stop. Don't let them win." The words hit the commander like fire. This small human child, even with a blade at her throat, refused to bow. His roar shook the bay. "You hear that? Even in your grasp, she is stronger than you will ever be." With lightning speed, he hurled his blade. It struck the officer's hand, sending the weapon clattering across the floor. The girl broke free and scrambled toward safety. Loyal guards pulled her into their arms. "Kill him!" the captain screamed. The traitors surged forward in a final, desperate wave. Blades clashed, blasters roared, fists slammed into armor. The bay became a storm of steel and fire. The commander met the traitor captain in the center. Their weapons clashed in a shower of sparks. "You will not win," the captain hissed. "The order is too strong. You are one commander against the Empire itself." The commander's eyes blazed. His voice thundered. "Then let the Empire hear my roar." With a furious strike, he shattered the captain's blade and drove him to the ground. The traitor gasped in fear as the commander's weapon pressed to his throat. "This is justice," the commander growled. "Not just for humans, but for every innocent you have betrayed." The blade fell. The captain's reign ended in silence. The remaining traitors faltered, their courage broken. One by one they dropped their weapons and surrendered. The bay grew quiet, except for the ragged breaths of survivors. The loyal soldiers stood victorious, their armor scarred, their eyes burning with resolve. The soldier approached the commander, his voice hoarse. "We did it. The children are safe." The commander looked around at the freed captives, their small faces lit with fragile hope. His voice was deep, steady, unshakable. This was only the beginning. They thought they could break humanity's spirit. Instead, they awakened something that will burn across the stars. Let every traitor, every coward, and every empire hear this. Humanity will never kneel. The soldiers raised their weapons in salute. The children clung to each other, their hope stronger than fear. And in the silence after the battle, the commander knew the clash of justice was won, but the war for truth had only just begun. The docking bay still smelled of smoke and fire. Sparks rained from broken wires, and the floor was littered with shattered weapons. The commander stood tall among his soldiers, but his eyes carried no relief. He knew this was not over. The soldier approached, his face pale. "Commander, scouts report movement beyond the outer hull. More ships are coming, big ones." This was only the first wave. The children huddled together, fear in their eyes. One of the older boys whispered, "Will they come back for us?" The commander knelt before him, placing a strong hand on his shoulder. "Yes," he said honestly, "but this time they will find us ready." The boy nodded bravely, even though his hands trembled. Moments later, the station shook violently. A deep rumble thundered through the walls. Alarms screamed again. The mechanical voice returned. "Warning! Enemy fleet approaching. Prepare for impact." The soldier grabbed the commander's arm. "They're bringing warships. If they breach the station, we can't hold them all." The commander rose, his face like stone. "Then we do not hold the station. We hold the line. We fight not for walls, but for lives." The docking doors blasted open with a deafening roar. Through the smoke marched an army of armored enforcers, elite, troops stronger and deadlier than the traitors before. Their leader, a towering figure with silver armor, stepped forward. His voice echoed like thunder. "You defy the Empire, Commander. Hand over the humans, and I will give you mercy." The commander's voice boomed back, filled with fire. "You mistake mercy for weakness. I will give you no surrender, and you will find no fear here." The silver-armored leader raised his massive blade. "Then you will find death." The battle erupted. The enforcers stormed the bay, their weapons crackling with energy. Loyal soldiers met them with steel and fire. The clash was brutal. Metal rang against metal. Explosions tore through walls, and screams filled the air. The soldier fought at the commander's side, his blaster glowing red-hot. "They're pushing us back!" he shouted. The commander struck down an enemy and roared. "Then we push harder." But the enforcers were relentless. They fought like machines, never tiring, never fearing. Slowly, step by step, the loyal defenders were forced toward the center of the bay. The silver leader cut through the line like a storm, his blade leaving sparks in its wake. He locked eyes with the commander. "Face me, coward!" The commander stepped forward, his own blade gleaming. Gladly, their weapons clashed with a sound like thunder. Sparks flew as steel met steel again and again. The silver leader struck with brutal power, each blow shaking the ground. The commander fought back with speed and fury, his strikes sharp and precise. The soldier watched in awe. "It's like two titans," he whispered, but even the commander began to falter. The silver leader was stronger, heavier, unyielding. With a mighty strike, he sent the commander crashing to the floor. The enemy soldiers cheered. "The commander falls!" The silver leader raised his blade high. "Your fight is finished!" But before the blade could fall, a small voice cried out. It was one of the human children, the same girl who had once been held hostage. She stepped forward, her voice trembling but fierce. "No! He fights for us. He is not finished." The words cut through the noise like lightning. The loyal soldiers roared in answer, their strength renewed. Even the commander, blood on his lips, pushed himself back to his feet. His voice thundered. "You! Hear her? Even a child has more courage than you. You fight for power, we fight for life." The silver leader swung again, but this time the commander caught the strike. With a roar, he forced the blade aside and drove his own weapon deep into the leader's chest. The silver giant staggered, his eyes wide with shock. "Impossible," he gasped before collapsing to the floor. The enemy soldiers froze. Their leader was dead. One by one, their weapons fell. The battle was over. The bay fell silent, broken only by the ragged breaths of the survivors. The soldier approached, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Commander, you won." The commander stood tall, though blood ran down his arm. His gaze swept over the freed children, the weary soldiers, the shattered bay. "No," he said softly, "we all won, together." The children rushed forward, clinging to him and the soldiers. For the first time, their eyes shone, not with fear, but with hope. The soldier looked at the commander. "What happens now?" The commander's voice was steady, resolute. "Now, we tell the stars what happened here. The Empire caged children. They thought humanity weak. They thought we would break. But instead they learned this truth. When humanity rises, the universe itself trembles." The soldiers raised their weapons in salute. The children raised their small fists, voices joining in one cry, "Never again!" And as the station floated above the stars, battered but unbroken, the message was clear. Humanity was no longer prey. They were defenders, warriors, survivors. The Empire would remember this day. The universe would remember this stand. And from that moment, no cage could ever hold humanity again.